One thing, maybe what I'd like to spend the bulk of the time on is if we could like go through perhaps maybe start on the February 22nd one, and it's just getting your like thoughts on with the messages that you responded to and didn't, like why or why not. And I know and just preface to people that like individuals are going to have their own preferences, and so something that might catch your eye or not, is not the same thing as other people. But quick question actually though, were you, when you would receive recruiter messages, were you looking at, like, did you get the notification through your email, or where would you actually read them? Would you read them here, or would you read them?
I would read them here.
Okay.
Just because I was more like, since I was looking for a job. I knew my job was ending. I knew, this is going to be pretty important. So I sat here and I did everything through my computer. Now, I do have fairly good eyesight, but I had surgery 4 times. So for me, I'd rather use a computer.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would imagine a lot of the world's more phone based,
Yeah. But I know a lot, like a lot of people, they have a setting where when a recruiter reaches out on LinkedIn, they actually get that message sent to their email. And so I know a lot of people, they'll read the messages out of their email, even if it's on the computer, as opposed to the actual LinkedIn app. You read it through the app though?
Yeah, unless I was out. Yeah, I just had the app open and it was pretty easy to respond.
Okay.
I mean, I was quite ambitious, so I would try to respond immediately and get everything, get the ball rolling right away.
Yeah. So if we can look at some of the ones that were sent and what you liked and didn't like, or
So the first thing I would look is just, how legit does it look, and because what I didn't want to deal with was bots, and people just pinging up and making those phone calls and stuff. I wanted to talk to someone that was a little bit better at, connecting. I wanted to connect with somebody. That's one thing why I worked with you, is because a lot of people have, I don't know, it's just like an attitude, and instead of trying to make a connection, they're just trying to turn people over as much as possible. So, but here's like this one I actually like. It's a little more personal, and I'd like to know like up to 200K a year, which probably wasn't the case, but it's all based on bonus stuff like that. But I like when they list, when things are listed, I can look at it immediately and I can see, okay, it's in my range at least. And then remote company in Florida, and then a list of like the top 10 technologies. When I would get something with like 400,000 things that you have to learn, I was like, well, that's impossible. You can't learn all those. And plus, a lot of the things are software. Anybody can learn how to use the software or something. So, like this was a good one. React, TypeScript, and it was to the point. I could see it's legit, So I like that.
And so a message like this, you would have responded to.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I did respond to him too. And then you can see what I write, and I wanted to learn a little bit more about it just to see what companies and stuff like that. It's kind of like nice to know the industry too, I guess.
Yeah.
A lot of people kind of keep hush at the beginning, and I'm like, I need, it's important to me what I'm going to be doing. So.
Yeah. So is it fair, like if I were to maybe rewording, you like to get like a lot of the meat of the position, so stuff like salary, stuff like the technologies that they're looking for, like you prefer the meatier emails as opposed to one that doesn't give a lot of info, and maybe we'll flush that out through some of the other ones that we look through.
Yeah, like this one, I immediately, I would probably put this on the back burner. I'd probably see if what it's about, but for instance, contract, that was important for me. So
you didn't want a contract.
I have some friends that are all into contract. They just want to work contracts. They don't have 5 kids, they're not, and I wasn't really into that.
So that was an immediate, like you didn't, this message is going to be out.
18-month, I probably wouldn't have responded to this. I didn't, matter of fact. So
out of curiosity, could you have been, so we often will recruit on positions that start off as contracts, but it's really like a product of that's how a company pays for recruiting services. Where I'm going with this is like, could you have been, for the right opportunity, would you have taken a contract role if they talked about it being long? Actually, I remember you had a competing offer that was a contract role.
Yeah, I would, but the problem was, and if you remember back, the guy I was working with, it was like I had a connection with you. Like if you would call, I would answer it. Whereas, I wasn't like, oh gosh, Brandon's calling again, because, you're personal. And I felt like, okay, this guy's working with me. We're working together. He's not trying to just dump me off somewhere for a contract. And not that that's a bad thing. If someone wants to do contracts, that's how they work or whatever. But if the other one, the contract was going up so fast, and it was just, I was kind of hesitant. I'm like, it just sounds like it's, it's getting to be a little ridiculous, So,
you get the warm and
I
fuzzies.
think it was contract to hire, but ultimately I chose you for just having a good connection, like almost like a friendship, like where, I trusted you that you're not trying to just pass me over to somebody. And then insurance and stuff for me was important. A lot of people maybe don't care about it, but I really did. So, and I wanted something long term. So that's why. Let me. But if it was, like I told you, there was a company that was wanted me to work on satellite software for, not for SpaceX, but a company that did work for them. And for that kind of opportunity, because it's like, it's hard to get into, I would have probably jumped ship and went with them, just to take the opportunity. It would have been nice for the resume, just nice for life, just to say you work on satellite software. So,
when you had the SMS assist offer, there was another offer on the table. That was a contract position. It was paying quite a bit more. Do you think, and this might be hard to answer, but do you think if you had felt better about the recruiter in the other role, perhaps the way you felt about me, and perhaps we were switched, do you think that could have made a difference in whether you would have accepted the contract role as opposed to the permanent role? Again, I know it's kind of hard to.
That would make a difference. He was a nice guy. It wasn't like he wasn't. It was just a little bit different. But yeah, it could probably make a difference. It's hard to say because I put everything. I really analyze everything. That's why I'm up front. I'm like, okay, what's the range? Because if it's not, I don't want to waste any more time. It's just not feasible. So I put everything in Excel and really analyze. Okay, at the end of 12 months, where am I going to be? Because if I'm going to have trouble for 2 months, and it's a no-go. But if it was a good enough deal for that time period, and I knew, okay, here's my plan for the next 18 months or whatever, and I felt comfortable with you. I put it this way: if SMS, if you came back and said, here's what we're going to do, it's 12 months to start, I might have still taken that, as long as the money's right to offset, insurance and everything else.
Okay, let's look at a few more.
So I personally like this one. I like this. It kind of gets to the point. It's the basics. I don't need to know what kind of software you use to deploy your applications. That stuff's easy to figure out. I need to know like the basic stuff. What am I going to be doing day to day? Like what's my job going to be? So So
and are you kind of like, are you skimming these messages? Like what
Yeah, most time I'll just look at this and is it something worth it or not, and then I'll just post my resume immediately.
Got it.
I just
Okay.
put it on there and say, here it is, and send me the more details on the job, and that's pretty much how I just got into that. I was self-employed for a long time, so the last time I think I told you I looked for a job, other than a few years before this, was 1997. So I got my resume. I'm like, wow, I worked at the grocery store, and this is going to be tough. So I didn't know how this whole thing worked. And every time I got a job, it was just because I happened to get one from another contract ending or something. So once I got in the routine, I'd click on it and, okay, is it good or not? You could pretty much tell, okay, contractor, is it remote? And that's another question I would ask, is it remote? Just because I moved to South Carolina, I'm not going back to the cold, So SQL Server, good, okay. C#, good. And then at that point, I'd send my resume and say, here's, give me more job description and, questions, and if I have any specific questions, and then I'd go with it there. But I'll tell you, LinkedIn seemed to be, the quality is way better. Like I could show you emails that I get all the time. It's just, it's just, let's see. This is another good one. You can see how it's nice. It's just, gets to the point, right to the point. And there's some like, I don't know if I'll see them, but let's see. Another thing is I didn't like is immediately, hey, let's set up a call. I have an opportunity. Okay, tell me about it first, because otherwise I'll be making 400 calls a day, and I don't, so I like to get like let's just see if it's right before I.
Okay, so what would you? So sure, you got plenty of messages that were just like not giving you any info about the job, like a job, a specific job. Are you not responding to those? Or like maybe not responding?
I'll be honest, I was getting so many I wouldn't respond to them.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. So you were personally okay with a big long message so long as it was meaty and details and you could kind of quickly see.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But something like this is perfect here.
So, but this one, it doesn't look like you responded to, right?
Yeah. Now, at that point, I was probably getting, when was this? This was March 2nd. I was probably getting enough of them that I didn't, I just didn't, I probably stopped responding at that point.
Do you think you responded to this one specifically though, if it was I don't know, the day before I messaged you or?
This one, I mean, to be honest, this is a pretty good, I mean, I know all this stuff, so I'm surprised I didn't respond to this one. I'm wondering if I just didn't respond to a ton of them. Let's see. Yeah, I imagine I missed a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And it depends where they were from, and to see, if I just felt like it wasn't just a bot or whatever,
Yeah. All right. So it looks like it got to a point, maybe March 2nd, where like was
at that point I might have been just sending the attachment, but if you notice, they didn't get back to me then. So I don't know what happened at that point. I probably changed. I don't know if I changed my thing, but
so let's look at I'd love to see like some of the earlier ones.
So let's take a look at yours. Let's see. Let's see how you did. So yeah, like you had kind of like your the title was good, and then I didn't mind when we were talking about lengthy. Like you told me who it was, I could look them up immediately. So at high level with C#.NET microservice experience leading, blah blah blah. So this, I mean, it was. I thought it was laid out very well because I'm sure obviously I responded then. So, you gave me the information I needed that I didn't need to. I didn't need to guess, if it's going to waste my time. So,
yeah. Do you put? Do you remember if you put any? Like I try to be particularly careful about sentence like grammar and not misspelling, just like attention to detail with stuff like that. Do you pick up on stuff like that?
That's a great point, because grammar bothers me so much, and I can't believe when you have executives emailing and they miss spelling. I understand it doesn't. There's not a whole lot of logic to spelling for I'm not the best speller in the world, but we do have autocorrect and stuff now. So, but the grammar and the way they talk, like if it's not going to be professional, it tells me that they're getting a list and they're just sending these out blasted, 7,000 people a day and hoping they get one,
Yeah. So I would imagine that like over the course of your relationship with a recruiter, probably pick up on that, and that could ultimately influence, like that could impact how you feel about the opportunity.
Is annoying to me,
Yeah.
It's like we're working together, so I don't like that, like the cockiness or the over confidence, and it's just like this is hard looking for a job for anybody, so that experience, you want it to be as smooth as possible and comfortable as possible, so all that kind of together. I wanted to see if I could show you my Outlook. I don't see Outlook. So if I go over here to here, I'll see all kinds of different positions. And I just just look at it and see,
Mhm.
how it was written. Some of them you'll see. These are actually not too bad. Of course, I told you there's a million bad ones, but
Mhm.
of course I won't be able to find them. But a lot of times you could just tell, like, they're just dumped out onto a page. This
Yeah.
is probably.
So there's
And
like
I
an
understand that happens. It's a bot. And I've been writing software for 25 years, so I would do the same thing. But I'd want them to feel good about it, not just a blast that.
So you are paying attention to almost like the aesthetic of the message in the email, and like
Yeah. Like this
how
one doesn't have any information, whatever. Like it's just,
Yeah.
you could tell this was just sent. Not the fact that it's I used to live in Mechanicsburg. Not that it. I wouldn't be looking for there. Heck, this is yesterday, so I wouldn't be looking there anyway. But this is just probably. It's just a computer. I can see that, so I don't feel like the person behind it's not really gonna. He's just gonna push me off to whatever he can. So
Yeah. All right, I got a
to me
question
is
for you.
super important.
What is super important?
Just the way it's presented.
Yeah.
The way it's presented is probably one of the most important things. Give me the information, and some of these are just too much text.
Yep.
All this stuff. It's this I wouldn't even want to read.
Yeah.
It's like, give me the top 5 technologies, maybe 10. And
so all right, so there was a period where you were actively looking for a new role, and then I would imagine there's a period maybe in the past 6 months where maybe you would respond to you still respond, but in a very selective way, meaning like when you're actively looking, you need a job, the way that you're approaching these InMails is going to be a little bit different than when I'd consider the right opportunity, but I'm not chomping at the bit. Are there any messages perhaps in, like, since you started or at the tail end of your search where you did respond, and can we talk through what was the difference maker there?
Well, that's funny, because this one that you what was it, March? Or February 22nd, right? So
which one?
that's when we started, right?
Yeah, but my message I saw was on the 28th.
So
Okay.
So I don't think I responded to a single one, just because like I told you, back then I had several opportunities, and I'm like, I want to get one that I'm going to stick with. I don't want to get one and walk away in 3 months because it was horrible. Because SMS Assist was really difficult to acclimate to, but I stuck it out, and now I feel really good about it. Where that's what I wanted. So, but like if you were going to target me now and try to get me now, this would be this one's good, but this right here, bonus, permanently remote, right there should have been right up. Like, that should have been right here. Because software architect, everybody's looking for a software architect.
Yeah.
But what's more important, or at least,
the selling point.
These lines right here.
Yeah.
If it would have said that, I'd be like, dang, this plus benefits plus bonus. All right, now what is it? And then, I would go from there.
Right. So you mentioned, okay, so imagine you get a recruiter email for a role with NASA, let's say, or just whatever company or project that you're particularly interested in. I would imagine including, so you might not even open up the email now if it didn't have, like, let's say NASA in the subject line, but if it did, maybe you would open it up and read and respond. Is that what?
I want to know. All right, is it somebody that found a job available on LinkedIn and is now blasting up, everybody? So that presentation, number one. So believe it or not, I get emails now. LinkedIn's not as bad, but I get emails and the names aren't capital or nothing. And it's like, what are you doing? Like, I don't care if you do work for NASA. If you do, I'm not getting in any of these ships. So I'm like, so if it was something like that, the first thing would be that I want to know, like you said, that headline, I want to know that I want to feel good about the email, which is presentation.
Yeah.
And then from there, I'd look at, okay, what are they trying to do? Or what would my job be there? Because obviously, if a good opportunity comes at that point, it's, I want to make sure I can do the job. Because even if they said you have it if you want it, I'd be like, man, I'm going to get my butt kicked there because it's NASA, So
Yeah.
So it becomes more important, I guess, the better the opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I would want to see right here. This is pretty much, that's it. That's like I said, 10 lines. But this one would have I don't even remember this one, which tells you that, and I did respond, but if this had this in the front or in the, right here, these.
Yeah. So you didn't respond to this one?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah.
I don't know where that went, but
yeah.
Anyway, that would be, so to your question, I guess when I get emails, like I get a ton of them, it takes something like that for me to even look at it. Like I will open it if it says something, like if it catches my eye with, salary, full remote, or the company name, something like that. But I haven't responded to any, but that's what it would take to catch my eye for sure.
Yeah. So nowadays, or perhaps even when you were actively looking, if the subject line, or there's certain messages where just based off the subject line, you're not even opening the message. So like the subject line was
here. I don't know if this is remote or not, but let's just, okay, permanent position, full-time, on site from day one. So let's say this said remote. Don't put New York City if it's remote. Put remote,
Right.
SQL developer, but not too bad. This 100% remote. So that's good in the subject line. So I would look at this one over this one, even though I know nothing about, well, I do know .NET developer. Let's see.
But even this one, it seems like it just might be too transactional looking for you to move forward. Like for you to respond.
Well, first of all, I'm a programmer, so these fonts are different. So I know it's a computer,
Yeah.
Here I go send, so
yeah.
I would fix that if I was doing it. Let's see.
Okay, so maybe transition a little.
I wouldn't even look at this one. It's just too wordy. You get to the point in the subject,
and you're kind of turned off by like the highlighting and the capitalizing and the bolding type.
Yeah, I think it should just give me 10. We can talk about all this stuff later. I can ask you for details because I mean it's sales. Once you talk to me, at least you can pitch me now. You can't if it's just annoyingly. I'm trying to find one that would catch my urgent position. Everything's an urgent position.
Okay, so that brings up a kind of a point. So what I've found, because recruiters get recruiter messages too, right? Recruiters will reach out to recruiters about roles. So sometimes I'll read like, so people will, so it's clear that they're sending out a bulk message, but they're like doing pleasantries, like they're overdoing some pleasantries, or they're like, I don't know, there's just like it just doesn't pass like the sniff test in terms of this actually being, so it's like they're portraying that they're writing a individualized message, but it's clear to me that they're not, and that's like a turnoff to me.
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah,
I think when there's too much information, it's like it's a canned message. It's like when a committee gets together to make up rules for the community pool. Instead of just getting the top rules that make sense, they sit there for an hour and just, what other rules can we think of? Just get to let's just talk about the main rules here. So, the only thing that would get me here is mobile architect with React Native. Yeah. Every time I see JD though, I think it's John Deere, and I'm like, oh, I like John Deere. I want to work for John Deere. And it's never John Deere. So.
Yeah.
But this isn't too bad, but a little shorter.
Yeah.
And here you go. It's not capitalized. Y-O-U-R is wrong. There's a space between this. That sounds stupid, right? It sounds really, elementary, but it is elementary.
I personally, I preach, like, I preach attention
Stuart might be a really nice guy. I don't know, assuming it's a guy, but I do like this though. Like at least there's a nice footer or a signature there instead of just a blast thing of text. You know, it's just
all right. So once you've spoken with a recruiter and they, you kind of agreed that you are interested in getting presented to a role, how much does like how they interact and like are you paying attention, do you think, to their written communications after that? Like, I guess I don't know how to I don't have the question fully packaged, but like, so you get this first taste of like professionalism and attention to detail and whether they're legit from the initial outreach. But then, by the time you get an interview request and an offer, you've got this body of work product out of the recruiter. Is that something that when you were dealing with multiple recruiters, you're paying attention to and you think affecting you, or any thoughts on that?
Yes, and I also to me it's I don't like to be pushed too hard because it's a tough decision. It's like let me think a little bit. So and if I recall correctly, you would call me and let me know that there's we want to push it forward if we're ready, but not if you don't do this now, I'm telling you, it's gone. If you don't really mean that, don't say it.
Right.
For me, but and there's another point I wanted to bring up that especially from a development standpoint, you were very helpful with you would go back and talk to SMS, and I liked how you had a dialogue with them. So it wasn't just this is the job, and I need to get you into an interview, and that's it. I remember we talked about insurance because it was 29 days of that month I'd be working, and you don't get insurance unless you're there for 30 days on the first of the month. And you tried to work with them to do that. It's just something they couldn't do. But the fact that you worked with that was very important. And it got back to me, right away. Like you were pretty quick with it. But you also helped with finding out what tests or what I should prepare for. I think you're the one that gave me the site. There was a site that had all these algorithms you could test out with or something. That was very helpful because during the interview, they actually used that and asked me some of those questions. So I was prepared for that. And, some of that stuff I haven't done in quite a while. And if I would have been prepared for it, that might have been a killer. That might have ended it there. Not that I can't figure it out. Give me 5 minutes, but that could have been a deal killer because there was a lot of those questions that the developers were asking. He was like, "Hey, here's a question. How do you solve it?" And that was a big deal. So you helping me out with that and kind of guiding me. Here's what you're going to need. Here's what kind of questions they're probably going to ask. That was a big deal.
Yeah. Any, I guess, closing advice for recruiters? Maybe it could be about the messages that they send, or just like I don't know, from that initial outreach to when you get the job in general. Like any advice or thoughts? Close up.
I don't know. I thought you did really well. I mean, from the beginning, preparing for I thought your communication was well. What it was I'd be doing and what the company was about. That was important. And then preparing me for the interviews and calling me after the interviews and following up, and I think that whole thing, it just kept things rolling smooth. It wasn't too pressured, so I think you've done really well. So I don't have any more really good advice, I guess, because you're doing pretty good.
Okay.
Some other people I could probably have a lot more stuff to say, but I thought you did well.
Okay. I appreciate that.
So I'm still there. So from what I understand, they like me. So I think we did. I think it was a pretty good fit.
Good. All right. Well, I'll let you go. I know we're 7 minutes over what I told you I would take of your time, but if it's okay with you, there might be other recruiters that have like specific questions, and I don't know, you might get a text from me if you don't mind.
Yeah, I don't mind. I don't mind at all.
Cool. All right, I really appreciate it. If you need anything on mine, I'm always happy to help. I know I'm not the most, I haven't followed up as much as I probably should have since you started, but I don't want to be, I don't want to take up too much
Yeah,
of
yeah.
your time.
That's all good. Very good. Appreciate it.
All right, Mike,
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
Take care.